Good evening, Frankmeisters. Welcome to another episode of True Crime Talk with Frankmeister. I'm your host, Shanker Sage, and we got Miss Kristen behind the crime door with us.
Hey
We got,
everyone, good to see you all here.
hi guys. How are you, Kristen?
I'm good. How
Did you
are
have a good,
you?
oh, it's one of them days again.
We had another day, didn't we?
Man, God, there was more documents today than there's been in the last week. But you know what? We talked about this a little while ago. Fuck the defense's documents because there's talk about the same shit over and over and over. So we're just going to go over Nick's responses today and the judge's orders that she filed today and have a little fun with the pro defense. How's that?
Yep.
Because it's funny, some of the shit she did today. I was like, my God. And then we got a conviction in the Harmony Montgomery case. Dad is going
that's
away.
awesome. That is
Yes.
awesome.
And then you were telling me about another story today out of Wisconsin.
Yep, there's a little 3-year-old boy up there that's been missing for 2 days. His mom and her boyfriend have just been arrested. His name is Elijah View, and he's 3 years old. He's absolutely adorable. But yeah, he's missing.
I
They
already
cannot
hear
find him.
my phone's going off. It's rescue right now. Telling me to clip my damn mic on. I guarantee you. Yep. Yeah, I get it every time.
Hey, Randy, how are you?
Randy's here. The OG. Let's see what we got here. Okay. All right, let's give some shout outs. We got Metal Mama. JP, how's it going, lady? I hope your mom's doing well. Jackie Oliver, Mark Collins. Who else we got in here? Kentucky Sleuth. What's going on, lady? We got Leslie Kingston, Amelia Lavender, 63 Clocks, Sharon Parker, Randy, Lauren Wolf, a new name. Good to see you. Am I missing anybody? Rescue. She's on top of the mods tonight, buddy. Sparky. Jinx, what's going on, young lady? Coach Kev, good to see
Hey,
you.
Kev, how are you?
Wanda from Missouri. TLS. Jesse Stoss. She Warrior. Cindy Hudson. Johnny Chimpo. Lala, good to see you. Ziggy, good to see you. Julian Friend. Jamie Hicks, yo, what's going on, young lady? Nana 72. Rob Adams, what's going on, buddy? Hey, man, appreciate you getting a hold of Jordan's biological father for me so we could have a conversation with him. Much appreciated, buddy. He's friends with Jordan's biological dad.
That's awesome.
Dr. Rosen, good to see you. Motive, good to see you. SP74. Jim's mom, good to see you. Nerdy Cat, good to see you. Redfoot, good to see you, buddy. Lady Fierce. Looks so. Well, they're still coming in, aren't they? My God. Slow down, people. All right. Well, let's go over Nick McClelland's response to the motion to dismiss the case and start laughing at what he was saying about the defense. State's response. All right. Present. Share screen. Do I need to expand it out? 1 in the chat for yes, 2 for no.
I'll just put on my readers.
That's as good as it's going to get right there. State's response to defendant's motion to dismiss for destroying exculpatory evidence. Now comes the state of Indiana by prosecuting attorney Nicholas Charles McClelland and respectfully objects to the defense's motion to dismiss for destroying exculpatory evidence. The evidence in question is not exculpatory evidence, nor is it potentially useful evidence. The interviews of Patrick Westfall and Brad Holder are not evidence at all related to this case. They are simply interviews that the defense wished to use to support a wild theory of this case that has no evidentiary support whatsoever. However, even though the interviews were not evidence, they were not destroyed by the state purposely or in bad faith. For those reasons, the state would ask the court to deny the motion in support thereof states the following. That on August 10th, 2017, Carroll County Prosecutor's Office investigator Steve Mullen discovered that the DVR at the Delphi Police Department for the interview room had been recording continuously for an unknown number of days. Mullen determined that the data storage on the 6 terabyte drive had been consumed, causing the equipment to record over its previous recordings, resulting in lost data.
Ruckus is here. He just walked in.
And what's going on, Ruckus? Good to see you, buddy. Investigator Mullen called the company who installed the DVR immediately in an attempt to recover the information. The representative advised that all recordings prior to February 20th, 2017 were lost. Number two, that on February 17th, 2017, investigators interviewed Brad Holder at the Delphi Police Department. This recorded interview was lost due to the DVR recording over as described in paragraph 1. The narrative summary prepared by investigators from that interview has been provided to the defense. Paragraph 3, that on February 19th, 2017, investigators interviewed Patrick Westfall at his home and a narrative report had been provided to the defense. The report does not indicate that the interview was recorded and no recording has been located in the state's possession. Paragraph 4, that the defense suggested that the state destroyed these recordings, which they believe to be evidence is exculpatory in nature, further claiming that the loss of the recordings was negligent or purposeful on the part of the state. That the interviews of Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall are neither exculpatory nor are they potentially useful evidence. That the state did not destroy any records maliciously or in bad faith. The due process clause does not impose on the state on I can't even read it.
Where are you at?
Number 5.
Undifferentiated.
Undifferentiated. I couldn't even see it. An absolute duty to retain and preserve all materials that might be of conceivable evidentiary significance in a particular prosecution. Arizona versus Youngblood. The state only has a constitutional duty to preserve a materially exculpatory evidence and evidence that is potentially useful to the defense. That this evidence that might be expected to play a significant role in a suspect's defense. California versus Trombetti. The mere possibility that a defense may have been created in the future by a piece of destroyed evidence does not mean that there was apparent exculpatory value at the time police acquired the item. The fact that the evidence has an outsized significance for the defense is not enough to show deprivation of the defense due process rights. Illinois versus Fisher. That the defense is merely speculating that the interviews that were recorded over will aid the defense. Mere speculation is not enough. Blanchard versus State. The loss of the recordings does not justify application of the two-part test to see if the loss warrants dismissal. Paragraph 10. The two-part test consists of determining what kind of evidence is at issue and then determining if the evidence was destroyed in bad faith. That step 1 is to determine what evidence is at issue. Is it evidence that is materially exculpatory or potentially useful? Land versus State. Evidence is materially exculpatory if it possesses any exculpatory value that was apparent before the evidence was destroyed and must be of such a nature that the defendant would be unable to obtain comparable evidence by other reasonably available means. Chisel versus State. Exculpatory evidence is a very narrow class of evidence uncovered during an investigation into a crime that tends to establish a criminal defense innocence. State versus Durant. That means that it must possess an exculpatory value that was apparent before the evidence was destroyed and is such a nature that the defendant would be unable to obtain comparable evidence by the other reasonably available means. Terry versus State. The exculpatory is defined as clearing or tending to clear from alleged fault or guilty, excusing. Land versus State. The state must preserve materially exculpatory evidence, and the failure to do so deprives a defendant of due process regardless of whether the state acted in good faith or not. State versus Durant. In contrast, evidence is merely potentially useful if no more can be said than that it could have been subject to test, the results of which might have exonerated the defense. Chisel versus State. If the state fails to preserve potential useful evidence, it does not constitute a denial of due process unless the defendant can show that the state acted in bad faith. Terry versus State. The destruction of potentially useful evidence is constitutionally unproblematic absent a showing that the state acted in bad faith. Land versus State. That step 2 is if the evidence is considered potentially useful, determining if the state destroyed the evidence in bad faith. That in order to show bad faith, the defendant must show that the state failed to preserve the evidence pursuant to a conscious doing of wrong because of dishonest purpose or moral obliquity. And that is Terry versus State. Bad faith requires a showing beyond simple bad judgment or negligence. It exists only if the defense can show that the state's failure to preserve the evidence was the conscious doing of wrong because of dishonest purpose or moral obliquity. Terry versus State. The lost recordings of Brad Horler was clearly not materially explicatory. Even if could be described as potentially useful, it certainly was not destroyed intentionally or in bad faith. That the lack of a recording for an interview with Patrick Westphal is clearly not materially exculpatory. Even if it could be described as potentially useful, the absence of the recording was not done in bad faith on part of law enforcement. Further, both Holder and Westphal are still available to be interviewed and or deposed by the defense. The interviews of Patrick Westphal and Brad Holder are not evidence at all related to the case against Richard Allen. These interviews are part of an expansive 7-year investigation following thousands of leads selected by the defense to support a wild theory of this case that lacks a sufficient evidentiary foundation. Wherefore, the state objects to the defendant's motion to dismiss for destruction of exculpatory evidence and would ask the court to deny the same. There you go with that. What do you think of that, pro defense? I wonder if Judge Gold's got rented a boxing ring yet and hired a referee.
Hey, Steffa, how are you?
Let me
Good
get
to
the
see
chat.
you.
Who all jumped in here? Support with Steffa, Boston Christian, Mr. Clean's in here, CJK. Yeah, Mr. Clean know who he is. Well, actually, I got 2 of them in here. Coach Kev and Ruckus. Lisa.
And Ruckus.
Yep. So
Ruckus does rock.
Yes. So what are your thoughts on that? I mean, we've talked about this numerous times, and it's just like they're grabbing for straws.
It never ceases to amaze me how Nick comes back so eloquent, so professional, just straightforward, and just puts it and lays it out point by point. This is exactly why this isn't relevant. He basically puts them in their place and says this whole Brad Holder, Westphal, Odinism angle is BS.
Yep.
It has nothing to do with this case or anything. And I love that he comes out and basically says it. I'm sure he has tons to back that up when they get to trial, if they have to, if it's something that's brought up or is even allowed to be brought up. Because at this point, we don't know that it's if that angle will even be allowed to be brought up as a defense.
Well, I mean, the defense has got, in my opinion, from everything that's been talked about over the last 7 years, you got the CSAM, you've got the Odinist crap, you got Ron Logan, okay?
Yep.
And we've basically done got rid of the Ron Logan thing. I don't know what the hell CW was even thinking on that one. All of a sudden, they're going to do when nobody's supporting it. You know what I mean? And then you got Patrick Westphal and Brad Holder. What do you think if there was actual evidence at the crime scene pointing the finger right at both of them, they would have been arrested? I mean, hell, the interview with Patrick Westphal on Sleuth's channel, he even admitted he got called back in August of 2023 and got interviewed again and another polygraph.
Yeah. And I watched his interview on Sleuth's channel.
Mm-hmm.
And he admits, I'm not a good guy. He admitted to that.
Right.
But he's not what they're saying he is. He admits to that as well.
Right.
I mean, there's no basis to this crap.
And just like with Brad Holder, the
Exactly.
man was 3 times the size of BG, bald-headed and a beard that you could turn gray and look like Santa Claus.
Exactly. And it's not like you can take those off and put them on.
Right. I mean,
he had a beard.
It's just ridiculous. And since the defense did all this, what did Brad Holder do? He went and started taunting them like, yeah, you motherfuckers going to keep pointing the finger at me. I'm going to show you. And, he's not doing anything stupid. He's just taunting them on Facebook and with all of his Odinist stuff and all that crap like that, which I don't blame the dude. Don't point the finger at me for something I didn't do just because of something that I believe in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And the defense is doing their job. Right. Are they doing it ethically and well and are they following the rules of law? No. But they are doing their job. They are there to get their client off, to defend him against these charges
any which way they can,
and get him off any way they can.
Right.
And that's what they're doing.
No matter
what happened is they got a gag order in this case. They didn't want one. And now they've tried to figure out, how do we get around that? What can we do to get around a gag order so that we can actually get our narrative out there? Well, we know what they're doing. Right?
New Josh DePosh is in the house.
Yes.
Miss Thang's in the house. All right, I'm trying to find some questions.
CJK, you're absolutely right. To leak what the defense has leaked is totally inappropriate. I think it's against the law what has happened. Obviously somebody's been arrested for it. But I think it still could go farther than that. In my opinion, I think the state could still be doing, and I said this when it all happened.
They're all talking about basketball in the damn chat.
Yeah, we were. the state is doing their own investigation on the culpability of Rosie and Baldwin in the leaking of those crime scene photos.
I mean, once again, we got to reinforce this to the pro-defense people, is that y'all think this hearing on the 18th has anything to do with discovery, you better get your heads out your asses. because it's
Yeah.
clearly blatant what is going to happen at that hearing.
Yeah.
Like I said last night, the defense thought they got away with all this crap since nothing was done after the Supreme Court reinstated him. And like I said, Nick McClellan's like, oh, hell no, they ain't getting away with this shit. He filed the contempt on him, and this is what this is all going to be about the leaking everything on March 18th.
Yeah, no, I totally and absolutely agree with you.
You know, and I just don't understand why some of these people think that the defense is doing the right. I mean, it's the Odinist crap. They're doing this and doing that. Man, open your damn eyes, people. They picked something out of that was looked into 7 years ago and automatically ran with it. And like we said last night in John Kelly's live yesterday, what did he say? He said, you ain't going to ever find a case where an Odinist group has sacrificed 2 children ever before or after the crime, ever. Nope. And what does that tell you? Because if it was really going on, you would hear it a lot more. You know, we're not back when they were lynching colored people. Basically the same thing. We're not in that era no more. You know what I'm saying? We're not sacrificing people.
Yeah.
It's just not that. It's not like that anymore.
It doesn't happen. It's so freaking rare. It's it's the thing of movies and the thing of books. People think it's happening out there. If it was happening at the, at the level that people are saying it's happening at, it would be in mainstream media. People would be all over that.
Of all the crime shows, documentaries, court TV, actually sitting in on trials, the only case that I've ever came across in my lifetime that was an actual conspiracy, and I'll say it again, it was John F. Kennedy, and the government proved it was a conspiracy. It's the only case I've ever come across that was an actual conspiracy. Now, you tell me where the conspiracy is in here. Just because it's a small town out of USA and you got a little Mayberry Sheriff's Department or police department, they're all corrupt.
Well, you and I have talked about this too. I'm not saying that there's not corruption in Carroll County. There probably is. I think there's corruption in a lot of counties, in a lot of places.
Right.
But does that mean that the investigators that are investigating Abby and Libby's case are corrupt? Does it mean that all of the state police and detectives that have worked on this case over 7 years are corrupt? Does it mean that the FBI agents that worked on this case were corrupt? No, it does not.
Just because
first of all, Mike Patty has a huge presence in Delphi. People know him. They respect him. He has friends on the police force. He has friends in the fire department.
Yep.
And I can't see these people doing this to his family and saying, oh, well, let's get together and we want Tony Liggett to be the next sheriff. So we're going to do this, this, and this to make it happen. I'm sorry. It's
and
just
Mike's even friends with the Evansdale father.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ludicrous, if you ask me.
Yeah, and CJK says, I bet many had a meltdown. Oh, you best believe they had a meltdown today after what I'm getting ready to show here in a little while. Guarantee. It's guarantee. And one of the things is I can't believe that dumbass Hennessy had to file that motion. He should have known better.
Well, I think what's going to happen and what you're going to see happen, and it's just going to continue, you guys, until this is done, until this case is done, it's going to continue. Because now they're going to stay, all these people that are against Fran Gull and all these people that are crying foul and are pro Richard Allen and want him released and feel that his rights have been horribly stepped upon. God knows that 2 girls were brutally unlived. Who cares about their rights, correct?
Right.
But anyway, they're going to continue to find ways to say that, well, this is just her way of being a corrupt judge who's just pro prosecution in this case.
Don't you think the Supreme Court is keeping a close eye on Judge Gold?
Of course they are.
They're keeping a close eye on her in this case. You best believe that.
Yeah.
Guarantee.
Yeah.
Leslie, thank you for the $9.99 super sticker. Much appreciated.
Jeremy Hall, there are the crime scene photos have been altered. The ones that were released were not the same original photos.
Right.
And that's part of what's going to happen, and you're going to find out about on the 28th. I'm sorry, I apologize.
18th.
On the 18th of March, because the state's not happy that crime scene photos, first of all, were released, and then they were doctored or altered, and things were added to make it look worse than it was, to follow some sort of narrative.
Right.
And yeah, that's why I firmly believe that Rosie and Baldwin are scared about jail time here.
I mean, Rosie even admitted to it.
Yep, he admitted it.
I mean, think about it, guys. What happened back on October 19th of last year? Baldwin knew his ass was up shit creek when he hired Hennessy. That's why he brought Hennessy to that hearing. Okay? And now that the Supreme Court has reinstated him and left Judge Gold back on the bench, they knew exactly what was going to happen. Soon as Nick filed that contempt, what did they do? They tucked their tails between their legs and they hired David Hennessy, both of them.
There was a reason why Andrew Baldwin came to that court hearing with an attorney. Oh, yeah.
He knew.
I'm sorry that I was floored by that. I'm like, good Lord, what's he done? Why does he need an attorney? So yeah, I mean, yeah.
And 6-3 clock says Nick comes across as fact driven. He cites every previous case. That's what you got to do.
That's what they're supposed to do. That's what they're taught to do in law school when they put together motions or arguments. They need to use case law because it all has to be in the law for it to work. If you can't prove that was in the law or that it has been in the law somewhere, then you don't really have a leg to stand on in court.
Look what Ruckus said about Mr. Clean. Kev, we can put our heads together and make an ass out of ourselves.
Oh, God. Ruckus.
Good to see you, Ashley. Nice to see you in the chat tonight, hon. CJK says it was sensationally garbage at best, in my opinion. I don't even think it was garbage. I call it regurgitation.
It was terrible. It was horrible. Really awful.
Let's see.
And
Jamie
what do you mark my words, they'll replay it.
Oh, that interview Sloop did trigger the defense daddy trolls bad. And that's
Which interview?
He did one today.
Oh, I missed it.
Well, not an interview. I think he replayed an interview with Patrick Westfall last night. That might be what she's talking about.
Oh, okay.
We have no clue, Alley Cat. Like I said last night, Julie made a complete ass of herself on that CW. Rick Snay, I give him props because he was very professional when he was being talked to, but when they end up inserting the clips acting like a jackass on YouTube, I think they did that intentionally.
Well, will the real Rick Snay please stand up?
Right. Another super sticker by Metal Mama. Describe the defense one word. Jackasses. That's what one word is. Jackasses. Yeah, Jamie, you learned a big lesson on that one, didn't you? Yeah, I remember that, Randy. Someone tried to make a sketch look like Logan.
Yep, they certainly did. I still say I feel bad for Logan. Um,
He lost his girlfriend.
he
I mean,
lost somebody he cared dearly for,
right,
and he had her picture. He kept her picture up on his social media, on his Facebook, for a long time, like I think a year or two after this happened. um she was on his Facebook.
right. CJK
um
says, but to leak all they had is inappropriate and should not be tolerated. Totally agree.
oh
100% on
yeah,
that.
yeah, absolutely. And I don't think she's going to tolerate it.
No.
I
Thank you,
think it's going to
Melissa,
be addressed.
thank you, Melissa, for the super sticker. Much appreciated. Exactly, Tornado. What happened to the corrupt Delphi officials? You don't hear nothing about that shit in what the defense is trying to lay out there. Nothing about corruption with the prosecutor, law enforcement, nothing. It's all about Odinism. Let's see. Just say,
Lisa, I see that comment, and I don't know how they chose those people as authorities on the case either.
CJK, yes, I know. I personally don't care for either one of them. Sorry if I offend some, but damn, Snay had shit wrong a lot.
You think? I try not to
CJK,
give him any
kudos.
platform.
Right.
I just
CJK, I
don't.
was shocked and my heart went out to the girl's little friend Dylan. He was certainly a genuine person full of heart.
Yeah, I felt bad for him too. He was in tears just talking about it. It was hard for him to just relive. And I feel bad, Frank, for Max as well.
Yes.
Max is probably living with some guilt because, you know, there was a couple of instances where I think he probably felt that he should have stepped in. The girls asked him to go that day with them. And he could have. He was playing video games. So I'm thinking, he's probably kicking himself. I think if he'd have went, I don't know what would have happened. I don't know if he would have ended up just like them
Right.
or what. But, I know that he's thinking that. And the fact that Libby had asked for his help back in January
Over
when
that
she
guy,
when she told him that some guy was harassing her.
a 48-year-old man
Mhm.
that lives in Delphi.
Right, exactly. And, and he again didn't respond right away, and he felt bad, but she said she handled it. So I don't know, I just feel bad for him because he was a good friend of both of the girls.
Hmm. I think Rich and Allen is dragging this out as long as possible because if he's convicted, he loses the protection of the state and the court. So the defense is creating this massive shitstorm to stall. Actually, he doesn't lose protection from the state because then he goes into the prison
He's
system.
going to
But
go in the prison system. He'll be in the same boat that he's in now because they will keep him safe. Trust me.
6 3 o'clock says this to you says exactly the investigation was mentioned in the January contempt behavioral filing.
Oh yeah, the she's talking about the state investigation against
Yeah.
whether or not there's culpability
Yep.
and who all knew and who all was behind the leaking of those photos.
All right. I see somebody. Props man bun.
Jinx said 90% loonies in the CW special.
And then Jinx says, Prof man ban, don't ruin the case. Because Prof is threatening to sabotage the case. I'll wager investigators found that Baldwin gave those photos to Westerman when he gave him the Frank's memorandum to review because the photos were exhibits.
Well, I don't know what he's going to do if to ruin the case, but he better be real careful because if law enforcement gets wind of him threatening that, they'll throw his ass in jail.
Cindy, I would imagine they would call his mother to the as a witness. The state would over the phone calls.
They can call her as a witness. She can
Yes.
still take the fifth.
Ruckus Rock says, I call the pro-defense folks friends. Free Richard Allen now. That's a good one. There you go.
I'm with Ruckus. If they want to free him, I think they should take him home with them and let him babysit their children.
But see, the problem with that is then you're taking a chance somebody doing a drive-by on your own house. That's the only problem. You're going to get if they even considered letting this dude out until trial, he'll be killed before trial even gets here. You kill 2 little girls, you better have eyes all through your head. In prison too. And it's just not lazy lawyers either, Jamie. We've got creators out here that are lazy as hell.
Oh yeah, we do. And the fact that the CW stole work from other YouTubers that they didn't even use, they didn't ask to use. You know, that's, to me, that's just crap. They know better than that. It's copyright infringement stuff.
Right.
I mean, we get in trouble for that on YouTube if we take other people's work without permission.
Right.
How do they get away with that?
Coach Kev, thank you, sir, for the $10 super sticker.
Thank you, Kev.
Jeremy Hall, the conspiracies come from the large gap between what is known by us and what is known by LE. It's getting crazy. I would have to agree with that.
I've always said that when there's a vacuum of information and the lack thereof information, that people will fill it in with anything.
Right.
And that's what we've seen in this case over 7 years. And it's part of Indiana's problem because Indiana is a state that holds their criminal investigations close to the vest. They do not talk about them.
Right.
They don't hold press conferences and talk about what they're doing and so on and so forth. And that's just normal for Indiana and how they handle things. But again, I think that's one reason why they're low on the totem pole for their solvability rate in murders.
CJK says, I've never seen so many rabid people who want to get a possible killer off without any good reason, and they use our Constitution as a pawn. I agree.
Well, that, and most people have not even, they're constantly talking about his due process and all this other. They don't even know what the word means because I mean, it's just like, stop it. He's not being mistreated. I guarantee you that if anything, that is one of the things that Fran Gall is absolutely going to do. In fact, if you remember when Librato had his, post interview after leaving, he said that if anybody was going to assure that Richard Allen had a fair trial, it would be Francis Gall.
Exactly. Now, Alley Cat has got a good point here. She says, all government is corrupt. Let's look at Miss Fanny in Georgia. Now there is corruption. Now, I do agree with you on that aspect, but that's a political corruption. As far as Donald Trump.
Something first here?
Yeah.
Fanny in Georgia is not corrupt. She had a sexual relationship with somebody, period. That happens all the freaking time. They just don't talk about it, and people don't get found out about it. I just hate how people just take this and blow it way out of proportion. I'm like, who cares who's sleeping with who? It happens all the time. I'm like, oh my God.
Yes, Jeremy Hall. The original crime scene photos, which are actually just copies that were given to the defense, they took those and they altered those into another set of crime scene photos.
Yeah.
Boston Christian, thank you so much for the super chat, $1.99. Metal Mama, somebody got a new membership. Thank you, Metal Mama.
Thank you guys for supporting Frank's channel. It really, really means a lot.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much, guys. RA has never said I didn't do it. Bingo.
Exactly. He didn't say it in his letter that he wrote to the court when he begged them to give him help. He couldn't afford an attorney. Did he anywhere in that letter that he hand wrote say, I didn't do this? I'm innocent. Please help me. Oh my God, get me out. Has anybody heard those words come out of his mouth? Do you not believe that if you were innocent of this kind of a crime, that you would be screaming it as high and loud as you could?
Right. CJK says they say the Patties are buying people in power to what? Arrest someone after 6 years? It's ridiculous. They don't even know the evidence and come off sounding foolish. Paul from CW. Now, let me tell you something. I've gotten to know Becky and the Patties very well. Yes, they live decently, but they're not rich what people think they are. Come on now. Just because they got a foundation, once again, I'll explain it to you, to the people who don't like the Patties. The foundation is run by a board. The Patty has no access to any money. If they need money for the ball fields, they have to put in a thing to the board, and they have a meeting like Nick did with the city council to get money for his employees. That's how it
Foundations
works.
have strict laws that govern them, and they are looked at religiously by the IRS,
Mm-hmm.
and they can't just take money and just do whatever the heck they want to with it. And that's why they created a foundation. That's
And,
why they did that, so
and
that it would be something that could be handled by someone else that could
keep the
oversee it
books.
for them. Oversee
Yes.
it for them.
And plus, they have to buy out of their own pocket everything for the concession stand, all the drinks, all the hot dogs, pretzels, candy, ice cream. They buy that all out of their pocket, and 9 times out of 10, they break even.
Yeah, but isn't that a wonderful thing to stop and think about what they're doing
Right, and they're
in the
not really
names of the
making
girls?
and not even making any money off of it.
Exactly. And that I said before, what a legacy to leave in those girls' names. That ballpark is beautiful. That whole facility is beautiful.
We are all
The
stuck together
girls
for.
loved music, and you can go there and listen to music. It's
Mhm.
fantastic.
We are all stuck together for God. Only now, know now, God, we have been through some things in this community. Rest in peace, Logan, Sean Harmon, Kat, Bruiser, and Doug Rice. Don't
Oh,
forget, don't forget Abby and Libby.
yeah, and don't forget Abby and Libby. But absolutely. I mean, Bruiser and Michael Catt. I mean, Michael Catt did so much early on. He wanted justice for these girls so bad. And I firmly believe that those guys that aren't with us any longer, they all know the answer.
Yes, they do. Doug Rice, especially.
Yes.
Doug Rice. Jeremy Hall. Thanks, guys. That was the news to me when I heard you say it. More makes sense now, knowing that.
He was talking about the photos, the
Yes.
altered photos.
Let's get over to Judge Gold's orders today. How about that?
Okay.
And start laughing at him again. Give me a second, guy. Oh, what the hell happened there?
There's a question here, Frank. Hold on a second. Anthony France says, what's his alibi for the rest of the evening after he left the trails that day?
Right. Okay.
We don't know. And I've said before, from what I've heard, and it's all rumor, you guys, because this has never been put out by law enforcement, is that Kathy was staying in Peru because of her mother, and she was taking care of her mother. So we don't know if he went home by himself or if he went home, cleaned up, and then went to Peru. We don't know.
All right. Here's the first order by Judge Gold today, guys. Counsel for Defense Attorney's request to allow electronic devices at hearing, filed February 15, 2024. Reviewed and denied without hearing. Counsel may contact the court's executive for information regarding this request. Judge Cole signs off. Wah, wah, wah,
Because
wah,
remember,
wah.
he asked if he could have his phone.
Yeah.
I don't
Idiot.
think she said. I think she said nope, not
Not,
happening.
not this time. After little shenanigans on the 19th and then on Halloween, nope. All right, the next one. The court has reviewed the accused response to state's motion to compel discovery, filed February 19, 2024, and the state's objection to defense's response on discovery filed February 21st, 2024. It is reasonable for the defense counsel to provide a discovery request, and the court therefore orders defense counsel to provide discovery to the state of Indiana on or before March 8th. As the state has advanced no legal authority to support its request to the court to force defense counsel to provide deposition exhibits in advance, the court will not compel defense counsel to provide such exhibits. So now we got to look over this again. So she did deny
Yes,
Nick the exhibits.
she did, but if you read it, she did it. She denied exhibits for the but she allowed them because they're going to be if you wait in the other one, they're
Yeah.
going to get those exhibits for the 18th.
Oh boy. Here's the last one. The court have reviewed the state's notice of request for discovery cutoff date, filed February 14, 2024, and the defense list of witnesses and exhibits for a contempt hearing filed February 22, 2024. Now orders counsel for the defense attorneys to provide the state with all exhibits.
I told you.
Oh my God. Wah, 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 wah. We've been telling what was going to, haven't we been saying this ever since October 19th when all this stuff started? I said, you watch.
Yep.
And then the Supreme Court made their ruling. I said, you watch. She's going to go right down the path they're giving her, and she's going to boot their asses right out of there. She's denying every damn motion that they file. She's just going back and repeating herself is what she's doing.
Right. She's covering all of her bases and making sure that everything's in the record. She doesn't want to get accused of not having everything in the record anymore.
Right. Jamie Hicks says, we've all been together so long, now it's hard not to care. Amen
It's
on
true.
that.
It's true.
Did I just see Joe? There he is. Joe Newman's in the house.
Joe's here. Yep.
Kristen, Anthony says, Kristen, laugh out loud. My name is.
Anthony France.
Yeah. The CW show wasn't journalism. It came across to me as a really slick marketing campaign with a tiny allotment to the other side of this very divided issue. I would have to totally agree. It was all out to make certain YouTubers look like jackasses and to put the narrative out on Ron Logan. That's how I was seeing it.
I just don't think they did a very good job showing that they were trying to make people look bad. I get where you're coming from because I know they showed some stuff that people should have seen. But for somebody that doesn't know history on Julie Melvin or doesn't know history on Kelly or history on Rick or whatever, you know, that they don't know who Paul is, all of that stuff and everything that they've done. They didn't bring that out. They didn't do enough. If that's what they were trying to do, they didn't do enough. They didn't have a narrator or a narrator telling us these are some of the wild accusations happening on social media.
Right.
By these people.
Excuse me. Let me get to Robert real quick. He said the idiot pro-defense people will have nothing when Allen is convicted. I'm not sure, but are these YouTubers just doing it for views, for their few days of fame? Bow down in Texas. Well, I can tell you from my position, and I'm straight up, I've got 1,460 some subscribers, okay? And I've only been doing this about 7 to 8 months. I only do one show maybe once every week or every 2 weeks. So no one can say that I am pushing for subscribers or pushing for views, because if that was the case, I'd be doing 4 or 5 shows a week. And I could sure in the hells do that many with all the information and documents I got. But I'm smart about this because I know what documents are more important than others. So that's why you don't see me doing a whole lot of lives.
I hear you.
I didn't even know what CW was, and everyone kept saying CW, but Deb said it was a news channel. I must be old school for sure.
CW isn't a news channel.
It's a broadcasting network.
It's a broadcasting network. They're known for a lot of teen shows. They have a lot of teenage type content on their network. I was surprised that they actually did it, actually. But hey, Deb, how are you? I hope you had a great birthday.
Oh, I didn't even know she was. I see him behind on the chat again.
She's here.
Leslie, thank you for another super sticker, $1.99. Yeah,
Hi,
no.
Grizz. Hi, Grizz.
Yes, Warner Brothers is part of CW.
Yep.
Exactly, Kentucky Sleuth. They wanted a patsy, they could have used Ron Logan. Yes, Robert, we all agree, and we've all agreed for this the last 7 years. Yes, law enforcement did make some mistakes. And who doesn't make mistakes?
There's mistakes made in every case.
They're not
human.
perfect. Yeah,
they're human.
They're not perfect at all.
Never seen that weird dude in the dark room before. He is creepy. Who's that?
Listen to this. Sparky talking about Yellow Jacket. The unraveling chick is a victim's out. No, that's Angela Rose.
Yeah, that was Angela Rose.
Frank. Kelly Aaron. Yes. 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 Same way with Julie Melvin. Same way with Delphi After Dark. Not so much Gray Hughes because he didn't agree, from what I was told, what was going on in that. He was way away from the Ron Logan thing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then,
he doesn't. Yeah.
And then you got Connie Dillman. I understand what she was saying is she was she had probably had battered women syndrome and all that. I have sympathy for her. But to say that it was Ron Logan just because you were abused by him, that was just wrong.
I have to tell you guys that there's a video coming out probably tomorrow that's going to address some of that. And one of the things I helped contribute was about domestic violence. And I just want you guys to know that domestic violence is very rampant, extremely rampant. 1 in 3 women in her lifetime will be a victim of abuse by someone who claims to love her. And I will also tell you this, that it happens a great deal of time in very low income areas. And Delphi and Carroll County, believe it or not, are low income. So stay tuned for the video. It's coming out. It should be out tomorrow. Fig and I collabed on it.
Dave shot. I saw a side-by-side photo of Ron Logan and Bridge Guy, and Ron Logan has a longer body and legs. Totally agree on that one.
Thanks, Deb. I don't feel very cute. I told Frank I came home from the gym and threw my hair up, and I need a shower. Sorry, guys.
Josh Posh says, was this 40-year-old man doing harassing supposed to be RA? No, it wasn't RA. It was another guy. I can't think of his name right off the bat.
No, it was not Richard Allen.
No.
He is a known
pedophile,
sexual offender, pedophile from Delphi, Indiana.
Yep. Blessing, glory. Jinx 13, they want big, bold personalities, not afraid to bring the drama, not people who put you to sleep.
Well, that would be me. I put Ruckus to sleep the other night.
Well, I'm not one of those. Because when I get done, you'll be thinking about me in your dreams. Be crazy if his wife takes the stand and actually testifies and don't plead the fifth. Well, the only thing I really think they would question her about is the telephone calls, because they know that she's going to plead the fifth because it's her husband on that part.
Did you see what Miranda Lee said?
I'm not even down there yet. Let me get to, let's see. Gray's RA3 would have owned that entire panel of tragedy pimps on the CW doc had they aired it all.
I'm afraid you are correct. One of the things I will say about Gray Hughes, when he does his stuff with maps and talks about timelines and stuff like that, he's got it going on, because he has been doing a lot of work on the Idaho case, and I mean some really amazing stuff, because he's right there, and he's been able to go over there and be boots on the ground, and he's been putting out some really good stuff. We may not agree with how Gray Hughes talks to people or treats people, but when it comes to this case, he cares about this case, and he cares about Abby and Libby getting justice.
Exactly. And that's why we're here.
Exactly.
We're in the same boat. Let's see. No. All right, Noe, don't come in here starting that shit, because we don't have that stuff in here. I heard props should expect Greeno's thuggish, ruggish hands any day. All the contact. We are not going there. You're not bringing that shit into this chat, Noe. Sorry, dude. That has nothing to do with my channel or Kristen's channel or anybody in this chat. So please don't bring that shit in here. You can stay as long as you want, but if you start causing ruckus in my chat, dude, you'll be blocked. That's right, Kristen. And the number of people still shouting that the state is delaying the trial when we keep seeing delays requested from the defense. Bingo.
Yep. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck,
it is
a duck.
Joe says corruption goes away when children killers are involved. I would have to tend to agree with that.
We had that conversation yesterday, Frank, about these guys having to go home to their families and their own children after what they saw in that woods that day. These guys will never be able to unsee what they saw. And I guarantee you they want justice for those little girls.
Right.
They do.
All right, Randy's talking about the walks. We've got 3 walks coming up in April, guys. We got one for Tabitha Shuck Rains, April 5th at 5:30 p.m. at the Tipton Park. We have Abby and Libby on the 5th at 1 p.m. The 5th. It's
on the 6th, isn't it?
I think they're
Hang on. Let me look at my.
And then the Florida Girls will be at Crown Hill in Indianapolis, which I only live about 20 minutes from there.
Where's my calendar? Come on.
Oh, I got an old calendar up there.
It is
it's the 4th.
March the 9th.
No, April.
Or not March. I'm sorry. It's April 6th, Friday or Saturday.
Okay.
That's Abby and Libby's. Okay. And then the Florida Girls are the 7th, the Sunday.
Okay. Let's see. Frankmeister. I doubt this goes to trial. He's going to put his family through this. I don't think it's going to trial. I think what the defense is doing right now, they're using every little legal option they can do until they run out of options to go for. And either they're going to go to Richard and say, hey, man, we're going to have to do something here, or Nick's going to throw the death penalty on the table, and that's when he's going to plead, because I've seen it too many times in the state of Indiana. When the prosecutor throws the death penalty on the table, within a week or two, the defense has changed in their plea and to get the death penalty off the table. Seen it too many times here.
You could be very, very spot on with that. We'll have to see. Hey, Sleuth.
Oh,
good to see you, my friend. You've been putting in a lot of great work on this case.
Yes,
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Miss Thang, thank you, hon, for the super sticker.
She's such a sweetheart.
Yes. I've actually partied with her before, and her husband and her daughter.
She's a super nice person. I
2
like her
years
a lot.
ago, 2 years ago, New Year's, her husband's band was playing at the VFW. So when I was dating my next door neighbor, and me, her, and her daughter's husband went up there and hung out with them until midnight or so.
Cool.
Yep. Let's see. Exactly, Mustang. Anybody that's been accused of something like this or even worse, if you were innocent, you'd be screaming to where you couldn't scream no more than I'm innocent. Period. I'd be in my jail cell screaming I'm fucking innocent
Yep.
to the top of my lungs. 3 o'clocks. Thank you so much for the $10 super sticker. I still ain't got down to where sleuth. My goodness. Family bashers need to put on notice too, then blame evaders.
Then ban evaders.
It seems like that there's a handful of creators now that have basically become the mouthpiece of these two little girls and even the families and Nick McClellan. That's just how I'm seeing it. Nobody's backing any of the family or Nick McClellan. And as far as I'm concerned, all I see is these idiot pro-defense, whatever the hell you want to call them. They're more concerned about Richard Allen and the defense team than they are trying to get justice for these two little girls. And once again, I'll call you out right now, Unraveling. What happens if your daughters were murdered in this type of fashion? Would you want them blaming you for having taken part or having something to do with your daughters or your kids' murders? Exactly. You guys don't sit back and think about shit like this before you open your mouth and let the spew come out. Never in my wildest dreams have I ever seen podcasters or YouTube creators that don't even think of the girls. They say they do, but actions speak louder than words.
Yep. For sure.
And you know what I do every night? This is what it's about. Oh, let me turn my camera on.
I was like, where'd you go? There you are.
This is what it's about. Right here. These two beautiful souls. Right here. It ain't about Richard Allen. It ain't about the defense team. It's not about the families. It's about them.
And what they lost, you guys. What they lost. Not what Richard Allen is losing by sitting in jail and being protected from being killed. Because in my opinion, if he was out, somebody would get to him.
Yes, exactly. And I'm from Indianapolis. And I ran the streets for many years. And I've seen what's happened in these streets when somebody walks out of a jail. Somebody waiting around the corner for them. I've seen it.
Yep. It's the truth.
Kentucky Sleuth says, dumb crime night, jealous that people helped and gave money during the funeral time. What do you mean he's jealous of that? I mean, you think how much of a damn funeral, how much it costs these days? $15,000 to $20,000. Who in the hell is going to have that kind of money just sitting in the bank and throw it away like it's pennies? Come on. So we got Ivy. Thank you for the $2 super sticker. Much appreciated. I still ain't even seen Sleuth yet.
He's in here. But the chat's just jumping. It's jumping right now. There's a lot of people in here talking. So,
Anthony, honestly, I have not heard of an alibi on Richard Allen the rest of the evening of that day.
Right.
Exactly, CJK. And that's what I was explaining before. The families run the concessions, and they're the ones that supply everything for the concessions. Trust me, I've had a deep conversation with one of the board members, Michael Stanley, and I've even spoken to the families on how all this works. Let's see. Buck Gallatin, they have a board to protect against corruption issues like Tara Miao Zedong did in Florida. We ain't going there. I don't even want to go there.
Yeah, I'm not going there either.
Delphi Dummies, I hope karma gets everyone that has given the families grief over these years.
Here, here.
The ball field is a beautiful place and full of life. I think it's fantastic tribute. I can't wait to see it the field myself.
It's
Honestly,
really cool.
as many times as I've been to Delphi, I still have not been there yet to the
Oh,
ball field.
wow.
That's
I
the one
had to go
place.
there when I was there this last time.
That's the one place I haven't been to.
Yeah, you need to go. It's really nice.
Alley Cat says I was a mod for Cat. Loved the hell out of him. He was convinced Thomas Bruce was the guy.
Yes, he
Hell,
was.
Thomas Bruce, yeah. We all know who that is.
Yeah, he
Dude.
was. I think he might have a different opinion now if he was still with us.
Right. I'm going through the chat here. I still ain't got the dang sleuth. My Lord. Yeah, I agree. Defense might have to throw in the towel eventually. Or you're just saying have a timeout explaining why. They ain't going to be no damn timeout for them. It's going to be throwing the towel. You're out of here.
Oh, I think that we're going to see this case move a little faster after the 18th of March.
I still haven't seen Sleuth. My
He's
goodness.
in here. Where are you?
God. And look at Lala says, the way this trial is going, it wouldn't surprise me if poor old RL rose from the grave and showed up on the 17th. All right. Where are you at, Sleuth? So I can give you a shout out. I know you're in here.
Oh, he's talking. He's definitely in here.
Miss Deb. Good to see her. Prof Man Buns. Jeremy,
Lisa
where
says,
you
I have
at?
to go into the grocery store. I've been sitting in the parking lot this whole time. And if anybody's looking at me strangely, it's on you.
Yeah, she's one of them, and you got to add Sue Wright in there because she was part of that filing too. Her and Angela were the ones that filed that. Oh God! Did anyone notice
Yep.
Snay defend Tony Klein,
Yep.
who has allegations of physical abuse against him, but found fault with Ron Logan for his domestic violence allegations? Yeah.
Can't play both sides of the fence.
Nope. I don't know where the hell you disappeared to, but I have not. There he is. Damn, about time.
Will the real sleuth please stand up?
And not you, Rick Snay, because we know you're the other one that created the other sleuth account.
Oh my God.
Let's see. Every time he steps off that van heading into court, he should be yelling, "I'm innocent."
Exactly.
Thumbs up on that one, Sleuth.
Yep. Good night, Kentucky Sleuth Angel.
Good night, Angel Bear. Why didn't the defense cheerleaders team raise a fuss when they came right back from the Supreme Court decision to file for dismissal again? Writing is on the wall. Goal is going to dump them. That's what I'm trying to tell you, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we wrote the legal system for a public defender, and never once did he say I'm innocent.
Nope.
Yep. Yeah, there you go, Prof Man Bun. Man,
there's a lot of people surrounding this case that only care about their egos and themselves. They've made it all about them and getting their 15 minutes of so-called fame.
Todd Denzinger says Alan was hanging out with Otis. That was his alibi. I wouldn't be surprised because I've heard some rumors and I can't vet it. So that's probably something they don't want shown in court. His time card showing he wasn't at work.
Yeah. Because they know he was at the trail that day. That's why they know. And they know what time he was there. Yeah, he's confessed. He's actually confessed 6 times. and never said once that he was innocent.
If RA was at home and his wife was in Peru, why did he spend his day off away from his wife? Why didn't he go to Peru and be with her on a nice day like that? Why was he there on a trail by himself? Good question.
Very good question. Very good question.
The defense hasn't mentioned anything in their documents indicating Bridge Guy's height would exclude their client. I presume because they also know for certain that BG is the same exact height. Honestly, I believe they know that he is the guy and they're just doing their job.
Yep. I agree. I agree.
But you guys, we've been at it an hour and 10 minutes. And you know, I don't like going no more than about an hour and 15 minutes. We're going to start winding it down in here. If anybody has any questions or concerns, let me know. You can send all questions and concerns to my email. If anybody has Kristen's email, would you please put it in the chat, please? It's Kristen behind the crime door at gmail.com.
Sleuth says they want to be so right. They want to be right so bad. If I'm wrong, oh well, let's talk about it. Exactly. I'm that's not about being right. And if I'm wrong, so be it. I just want justice.
Yes, we do, Joe. And the way he spelled Craig was Craigh. And the actual Craig Renfro lived in Lafayette. The real Craig Renfro. All right. You got anything else you want to add to this tonight, Miss Kristen?
I can't think of anything. I think we touched it all. I think that, we just need to keep our eyes focused on, the justice for these girls and keep reporting on the facts of the case and keep calling out this crazy diatribe of I call it nuttery.
Right.
It's around this case in Delphineville, because to me, that's what it's kind of become.
Right.
And try to move forward,
Right.
because it's about Abby and Libby, like you always say, and so eloquently so. That's those two beautiful girls right there, and I want them to know that that's why I started doing this case. That's what got me here, was them.
Right.
It was them.
That's where it got me. Once I started seeing this case, that's when I decided it's time for me to get involved.
And I didn't know anything about them. I learned to love those two girls over the last 7 years by listening to the stories that the families have shared about those girls and the kind of girls that they were.
Right. But I do want to give a shout out to everybody that supported my channel tonight. Leslie Kingston, Metal Mom, Melissa Balboa, Coach Kev, Boston Christian, Jim's mom, Miss Thanks, 63 O'Clocks, and Ivy, NTR Lover. Thank you so much for all the donations tonight. And once again, I want to thank everybody that came into the chat and socialized and got along very well tonight. Thank you so much. I love each and every one of you.
Thank you guys so much. Frank, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming in.
No problem at all. Anytime.
Until next time, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Don't know what it's going to be, because we might get more documents again tomorrow. We never know, but you know what time it is, guys.
Be safe out there, you guys.
One love, guys. Good night.